So I want that message to ring out there loud and clear. If you can't provide for your child, do not send your child out there to be in the workforce. Do not put your child on the streets. And I want to pause here because we at the Ministry and Child Care Protection Agency, we are going to move on an extensive campaign to target what's happening on the streets where many, many children can be seen asking for money. You do know it's a crime to give them too. What we want you to do is to report it. We will get them off the streets and we will work with their families to keep them at home. And that work has already started. So sometimes because we are filled with compassion, we want to help that child immediately. You can help that child by reporting and moving that child out of those situations. That's how you help.
That was Human Services and Social Security Minister Dr. Vindhya Persaud during her remarks at an event organized by the Ministry of Labour to mark the first ever World Day Against Child Labour. In a passionate appeal for citizens to help curb this practice, she reminded that it is a crime to facilitate this trend when it involves children. Dr. Persaud said she understands that sometimes, because people are filled with compassion, they will want to help a begging child immediately, but she has proposed a different alternative.
It is good to have children involved in chores at home. It is good to give them a sense of discipline and responsibility. But from the time it moves to forcing them, exploiting them, and putting them in the labor force at a tender age, when money is involved and power and intimidation becomes a part of the equation, that is when it becomes wrong.
On the wider issue of child labour, Dr. Persaud said Guyanese have become both dismissive and accepting of something that has become entrenched. She pointed to how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected families economically, allowing for a situation where children are being pushed into the workforce. This level of continued exploitation leads to abuse, she said. On the topic of abuse, Minister Persaud said the number of affected boys is moving perilously close to the number of girls affected by child abuse. More than 600 girls and more than 400 boys are affected.
This is what we know because these cases are reported. And I can say with some level of confidence, if those are the figures, similarly, the reported figures that we are looking at for child labor are probably a lot higher than what is out there for our consumption, simply because it has become accepted.
She believes, however, that ending child labour is not an impossible task.